I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop her right now. We'll talk to her about her speed.
Motoring 91 is brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
How do you like it? It's a beaut, isn't it? It's a 1991 Porsche Carrera 2, and oh, is it fast! But you know, there is a problem in driving a car like this, and that problem is approaching me. The police. But who are these people who spend their time on the highway with radar traps? Are they just out to get us? Why don't we try and find out this week on Motoring?
We're at a 1014.
1014, go ahead.
What's your 1020?
Then Jane.
It's 10-4. Could you 1019 once you're 10-8?
That was my plan, 10-4.
10-4. We're clear.
This is the Aurora detachment of the Ontario Provincial Police. Ontario and Quebec are the only provinces with a provincial police force. The rest are under the jurisdiction of the RCMP. Len Bryden is the traffic superintendent, and he's responsible for the major highways in metropolitan Toronto. Recently, he helped initiate a program that saw over 50 officers and cruisers patrol a stretch of the 401 highway. Over 8,000 vehicles were stopped for infractions, but only about 10% were attributed to speeding. The greatest offenders were those making unsafe lane changes and passing off the roadway. Now, the police have been criticized for appearing to concentrate simply on speeders, but Len Bryden says while that's true to a degree, the speeders are only part of the problem.
Well, it seems to be an attitude problem. We haven't identified any one single thing as a problem. Most people will say, well, speeding's a problem or unsafe lane changes are a problem. We've targeted what we call the aggressive driver, and it lumps a lot of these categories together. The unsafe lane changes, the following too close, the speeding is in there as well, and basically we think it's a driver behavior because of attitude problem, a me first attitude that just manifests itself in some pretty aggressive behavior on the roads.
But who are these officers that patrol the highways with their radar guns? Well, we jumped at the opportunity to tag along with OPP Constable Ivan Zorzit. I had lots of questions to ask, like, do the police have a monthly ticket quota?
There is no quota system that I know of. If I feel like laying 10 tickets tonight, I'll go out and lay 10 tickets. If I do not want to lay any charges, I won't go out there and lay any charges. We're in a plain car. It's a 1991 Ford Taurus. It has a high output V6 3.8 liter motor in this vehicle. It has a handling package for steering and braking, so that way we can take speeds on ramps a lot quicker than most vehicles on the road. What we're trying to do is make the road safer. I know myself, I don't hide behind signs or trees. I try to stay out in the open. A lot of the cars out there that are doing the violations are doing it whether you're hid or you're out in the open anyhow. So why should you hide behind things? The main thing is not to lay charges or tickets. I myself, I like to warn more than lay tickets. I feel that a warning is just as good as a charge. I try to make contact with the person, and maybe the person that I've stopped doesn't know that they've committed an offense. So I explain to the person why I've stopped them and inform them that the reason why is that, say, for example, an unsafe lane change, or forget to indicate making the lane, signaling to make a lane change. It's just to educate the public out there. In some cases where the act is or where the act results in an accident, that you'll have to lay a charge. Well, I'll just lock it right now. It's set at 100 kilometers. sit in the right-hand lane and just watch for cars traveling above the 100-kilometer range. I'm doing 115 right now. I'm in the right-hand lane, and this convertible Volkswagen has just passed me. She's still pulling away from me right now. I'm reaching a speed of 120, and she's still picking up speed. I'll just try to maintain until we level, get the same speed, that I'm not catching up on her and she's not pulling away from me, which is right about now. She's doing a speed of about 125, 126 kilometers right now. What we'll do is that I'll pull in behind her. I'll just activate my red lights behind me so that the cars behind know what I am doing, and we'll pull her over and I'll just talk to her about her speed. She's still going for more. What we'll do, because of the traffic congestion, I'll just try to get her in a clear break. Because some people react differently when they see red lights. If I was to activate the red lights in this where she is right now, she may have a tendency to pull to the left into that narrow shoulder, and it creates a traffic hazard. At any time, there is no ideal situation. Wherever we try to, we look for their safety and also the officer's safety. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna stop her right now. We'll talk to her about her speed.
That horrible feeling.
Hi ma'am, the reason I stopped you is that you were speeding. You were coming I was pacing at 125 kilometers in a post 100 kilometer zone. If I could just see your driver's license, ownership, and insurance, please.
My driver's license?
Thank you. Okay. Like I say, I have you on radar. If you'd like to come back to the cruiser and look at the radar unit, you may. Okay, I'm just going to do a check on you. Have you any unpaid parking tickets or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge, no. I just
No?
paid my
Okay.
last one.
Well, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to issue you a warning card. You're not being charged for the speed of 126. If you were to be charged for 126, it's 26 kilometers over the speed, is a fine of 101.25. There's 3 points allotted to that.
So, how did you feel when you saw the red light behind you?
I didn't know that it was a police car because obviously it's an unmarked car, so I was caught off guard, very much so.
How do you feel now?
Relieved. I only got a warning, so very relieved.
Safe driving.
Thank you.
So you're not such a bad guy after all.
I don't think I am. I try to be fair with people out there. If they're fair and polite with me, I'll try to return the favor to them. Sometimes you can't always be fair with people. Certain action that they do constitutes a charge, and other times a warning may suffice.
Well, this lady was lucky. Will the next driver be? Stay with us. We'll be back later to continue our highway patrol with the Ontario Provincial Police.
Paul Tracy's dream of being a full-time IndyCar racer appears closer to reality. Motoring 91 has learned that the Scarborough Speedster has agreed to a 5-year contract with Penske Racing. Tracy joins the team as a test driver, eventually moving up the ranks to join Rick Mears and Emerson Fittipaldi. Tracy had tested with True Sports earlier in the year and was offered a chance to race at 4 events. He turned it down, however, and went in search of a full-time ride.
The 911 has the distinction of being the fastest car I've tested through the pylons. Even at 70 kilometers an hour, this car remains stable, predictable, and surprisingly smooth. Not even the Acura NSX fared as well.
Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
The appearance of this car is so distinctive that it cannot be mistaken for anything other than a Porsche 911 Carrera. Now this vehicle, despite its appearance, is new. This is the 1991 edition. New in as much as 85% of the hardware on this vehicle is brand new, ranging from the engine to the suspension to a passenger side airbag to a freshened appearance. The front seats offer tremendous comfort and loads of lateral support. The large side bolsters ensure both you and your passenger stay put when you use the car to its full potential. The rear seats are next to useless except for the additional storage space they provide. This comes in handy because the trunk will only hold an overnight bag and a toothbrush. The instrument cluster is of the analog variety and it boasts a comprehensive array of dials. The main comment here is that I would have preferred the speedo and tachometer positions to have been reversed. The speedo needle disappears behind the steering wheel rim over 120k. All of the remaining primary driver controls are conveniently located, easy to access as well as operate. Despite the fastback design, rearward visibility is surprisingly good, even with the miniature whale tail in the raised position. The fin automatically raises when vehicle speed passes 50 miles an hour and descends when speed drops below 6 miles an hour. It is there to improve high-speed stability, although in this country its benefits are limited if you want to keep your license. I believe, however, Mr. Diamond has first-hand experience on this subject. One of the highlights of the 911 is this new Tiptronic transmission. Put it into drive and it acts like any other automatic transmission. However, if you flip it over to the right, you move it into the manual mode. Now it operates manually without the hassle of a clutch. Pull it back, you go down a gear. Push it forward, you go up a gear. As Porsche say, this certainly is a new generation of gearbox technology. Shoehorned into the rear engine compartment is a new 3.6-litre flat-six boxer engine. This new engine produces 247 very workable horsepower and 228 pounds-feet of torque. On the skid pad, we recorded acceleration times of just under 6 seconds to 100k. Initial oomph is a little subdued, but when the tach hits 2000 RPM, there is no looking back. Throttle response is spectacular and immediate, especially if you coordinate the shifts using the manual side of the Tiptronic tranny. A point of interest is that Porsche boasts about the 15,000 mile oil change intervals. I know if it were my small fortune invested in this car, my oil would be changed a lot more frequently. The 911 has the distinction of being the fastest car I've tested through the pylons. Even at 70 kilometers an hour, this car remains stable, predictable and surprisingly smooth. Not even the Acura NSX fared as well. On the road, the suspension is, as you would expect, a little on the firm side but not uncomfortable. In hard cornering, the new rear suspension automatically corrects toe-in, which in turn improves stability. A word of warning though, if you gun the gas pedal in mid-corner, the weight transfer induces a fair amount of understeer. The secret here is to be smooth. Rounding out a very drivable car is a sophisticated anti-lock brake system. The only comment here is that it takes a while to get used to the pedal feel because unlike most cars, the pedal pivots on the floor. Once you become accustomed to this though, the feel is more than okay. My pet peeve on this car is to do with the dash layout. Now the instrumentation is fine, but they've dotted these silly little buttons all over the show. There's one here, a couple under here, another one over there, 3 more above the radio. They just don't seem to follow any pattern, and until you get fully used to them, they're very difficult to use. Anyway, now to the scoreboard for a rundown on the 1991 Porsche 911. With 247 horses and only 3,000 pounds of body to motivate, the acceleration is quick to say the very least. We required a titch under 6 seconds to zip through the 100k mark. The bonus though is the mid-range performance. From 80 to where your nerve quits is real fun. I had expected a lot more understeer than I found. The rear engine configuration and weight transfer under hard acceleration is the only time it becomes blatantly obvious. Through the pylons the car sticks like you know what to a blanket, and through it all the suspension while stiff is not uncomfortable. The 911's ABS system produced stops of just 114 feet from 80 kilometers an hour. The huge ventilated rotors ensure fade-free performance even after repeated high-speed stops. Despite the difficulty of getting in and out of the front seats, they provide a great deal of comfort. This and the minimal amount of wind noise make for a very pleasant environment. During the test, we averaged 13.4 litres per 100 kilometres or 21 miles per gallon. However, if you use the potential on an ongoing basis, the economy plummets dramatically. In conclusion, Porsche described the 911 styling as timeless. I think it's a shape only a mother could love. One thing I did learn though, never judge a book, or in this case a car, by its cover.
The bulk of this radiator appears to be pretty good until we have a look at the core tubes. These are the tubes that the coolant actually flows through.
Bill Gardner returns next week on Motoring 91, and he tries to cool off.
This radiator is almost non-existent, and the car is going to overheat for sure.
Motoring 91 is brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
A lot of people think, well, cops are out there just to, like you say, to lay charges, charge everyone under the sun, but we're human. We all make mistakes, and I think the police officers know that, and we try to deal with them politely. We got his car, it's a Z24, it just changed lanes without indicating. He's doing a speed of, right now he's just dropped, I'm just getting caught in slower traffic, and so is he. It's 130 kilometers. At one point he reached a speed of 140 kilometers. And I'm just, I believe he has a radar detector sitting on his dash. I'm just trying to confirm that. I'm also trying to get a good pace on him. I'm doing 140 and he's just pulling away at me right now.
If you had a radar detector, you'd be picking it up, you'd know for sure, wouldn't you?
Yes. I'd pick him up, however, he wouldn't pick me up.
So what do you do now?
I'm just trying to get up beside the vehicle. It's one thing with the plane car, he doesn't know who I am. This vehicle up here, he's one of the typical aggressive drivers. He's speeding, he's been changing lanes without indicating. Trying to get a pace on him right now. He's slowing down for that slower car in front.
But you've already clocked him at 130.
130, yes.
And with a suspicion of a radar detector.
Radar detector, and I'll be stopping him at this point.
And they're illegal in Ontario.
Yes, they are. See some the headrest to the left or to the right of the headrest. Hello there. How are you?
Not good at
Not
all.
good? Why? What's wrong?
I'm getting pulled over.
You know why I'm stopping you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
So it's going too fast.
Okay, could I see your driver's license, ownership, insurance, please? What's that there?
Was my CD player.
Was your CD player?
Yeah,
Oh, I see, okay.
So this gentleman wasn't as lucky.
No, he's not. He had two things. He did a few things wrong. He was changing lanes without indicating. At one point, he was following another vehicle closely, and second point, he was doing well over 140. However, I have him clocked at 130 kilometers. As a result, I'll be charging him with 125 kilometers and 100 to give him 5 kilometers for the benefit of the doubt. I may be catching up. He may be pulling away. So just to give some benefit to the doubt, I'll drop it down by 5.
Even though you're on this side, are you sympathetic to that empty feeling that develops in their stomach when they know they've been caught?
Yes. some of the stories they tell too, saying, "Oh, my wife's pregnant," or my house is on fire and I'm rushing home, and things like this. Even though you know it's a made-up story, but I know where they're coming from, because I wasn't a police officer all my life. Like, I was one of them before I got on the force.
Have you ever been caught speeding?
Yes. Well, I think we all have. Whoever says they haven't been speeding's lying, I think.
Well, thanks a lot for having us along.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it.
A dirty visor? It can drive you nuts, hamper your vision, leave you disoriented. Clean View is just that. A soft felt tip allows for easy application. Just add a few drops to the inside of your plastic face guard and wipe clean with a tissue. Before you know it, you're ready to ride.
Cemetery or fishing hole? We'll explain that next on Kenzie's Corner.
Kenzie's Corner with Jim Kenzie.
Now, this may look like a cemetery to you, but to a policeman with a radar gun, this is a fishing hole. Now, no amount of rationalization is going to convince me that having a cop sitting here at 3 in the morning is doing anything for traffic safety. Now, the police tell us that, well, the sorts of people they catch speeding at that time of the day are the same sorts of people that are doing bad things on the roads that cause accidents. Well, to me, that's like saying most prostitutes wear short skirts, so let's arrest every woman wearing a short skirt. Now, some police departments are taking a broader view of the situation. My friends at the Ontario Provincial Police, for example, are involved in a program called Spring Tune-Up. Officers are patrolling one stretch of freeway in metropolitan Toronto, nailing people for tailgating, lane changing, and occasionally speeding. But no radar is involved. They're actually getting out into traffic and catching the real bad guys. So, Police Forces of Canada, my suggestion is throw away your fishing poles or your radar guns and get out there and catch the real bad guys. I'm Jim Kenzie.
Well, unlike the police car we were in earlier, there is no doubt what these cars stand for. These are your basic marked police cars. And they tell me that some of them are equipped with radar, others aren't. Which ones? Well, there's some things even the OPP won't tell us. Okay, so we've met some of the men and women who are handing out the tickets on the highway, but what if you think you're innocent? Well, next week we'll meet some former police officers who are now making a living at trying to prove your innocence in court. That's next week. Now, before we go, I want to thank everybody here at the Ontario Provincial Police for giving us a little insight into the job they're trying to do out on our highways. You know, it doesn't have to be them against us. We're all out there together. Let's just be careful. That's it for now, but we'll see you next week for more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Motoring 91 has been brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil.